Okay. I guess all the best.
Okay, is my screen clear to everybody?
Yes.
All right, a very good evening to all my guests, participants, and presenters, and welcome to our SPM revision seminar by Health University. And today's subject would be on English. Before I move forward, there are a few house rules that I will need all the attendees here to follow. Firstly, for those who are not presenting, please mute your mics and do not display your webcam videos throughout the session. This is to minimize distraction during the forum. Secondly, for anyone who would like to ask questions to the speaker, please post your questions on the chat box so that our moderator can read them out during the Q&A session later. Again, if you have any question, please post it on the chat box so our moderator can read it out during our Q&A sessions later. All right. So with that done, let me introduce our speaker for today. Her name is Ms Ayeswary from the Department of Foundation, and she is an expert in English and is here to teach us and give us a few tips on how to answer English for our SPM. Ms. Ayeswary? Ms. Ayeswary?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
the floor
Sabah.
is yours, ma'am.
All right, okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Um, just so my name is Ms Ayeswary. You can call me Ms Ice, and I'll be handling the 10 weeks session on English. So starting from today. So we'll start with what is going being covered for the entire 10 weeks first. So if you can see on my screen, so for today, so I'm going to be focusing more on, since you have English paper 1 and paper 2, I am focusing more on your writing and your reading as well as your literature. So for today, we'll go into directed writing first as a start, and then I'll do reading in a certain weeks. I'll be also doing, so for directed writing, I'll go through each style of writing. I'll also do a grammatical close. I believe students have issues on it, so we will learn how to tackle a grammatical close. Information transfer, all right. Reading comprehension, I will also do summary writing as well, because the students do have difficulty in summary, so we will look into it, as well as your poems and your novel. All right. So let's get started. Okay, so when we talk about paper 1, you have two parts of it, which is directed writing as well as continuous writing. So for your directed writing, the allocation of marks is you have for format and you have for content. So it's 15% here as well as 20% for language. So altogether, your marks for paper 1 directed writing is 35 marks. Okay, so 15 comes from format as well as content, and the bulk of it comes from your language. All right, so this part here is very, very crucial. All right, yes, you can say, Miss, I've got my content, I've got my format, I've got 15 marks already. But why not top it up with a bit of, improvement in your language as well, so that you don't just merely pass, but you can be above pass. All right, so for language, so this is basically the marking scheme. So if let's say you are from 18 to 20, you are an excellent writer. Okay. However, when you're at 16 to 18, you will definitely have some minor errors, not major, some minor errors. So when I say some minor errors, it could be a punctuation. All right. or it could be like a small spelling mistake, just a very minor errors. And then when we do C to E, all right. So here is where you will have, sometimes you have single word errors, okay, or you might have isolated sentences that doesn't form meaning, okay, all right. And then you have U1, U2, and U3. So we do not want to aim for a little or no sense at all, because you need to write your sentences, okay. And as you know, when you write sentences, it gives meaning, okay. Now let's look at analysis for report for your directed writing. So from 2002 till 2018, there has been a few topics that has been repeated, a few style. So if you see, they started off with speech, okay, and then it was a formal letter, report. They had 2 years of informal letters. They started with a talk, all right. Then there's article, there's a report here. There is an informal letter again. You have a talk, informal letter. You have a formal letter, all right. So formal letter, if you see, there's only once or twice, all right. You have article, you have speech, and there's a multiple report here. So what is not so common, or what has not been really emphasized more, it could be maybe a talk, all right, or a formal letter. So it could be this year, there could be any of this, all right. So it's good to know all the styles and all the formats for it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So before that, when we do directed writing, okay, how do you make sure that you are able to score your marks? Is in directed writing, your questions, there will be notes, there might be pictorial stimulus, there might be diagrams. So it's advisable for you to study them as it's provided. So since it's given to you, you should make use of it. All right. As well as you should always elaborate on your notes or information provided with examples. Okay. Remember to use all the notes. All the notes that it's given to you, okay, is basically your content. So sometimes your content, your points that it's given, it could be 10 points. And as you can see previously, your content marks is 12 marks. So it is no crime. There is no, you're not doing anything wrong by adding on to content. That is where it comes from you. It's your initiative. Okay. Next, you may want to add relevant information, as what I've mentioned, to make your writing more interesting. Always provide, so for each content that you have, each point that you have, always add in supporting points to make it more interesting. All right. Always link your points or paragraphs. So when I mean this, you should use words like firstly, secondly, okay, to start the next point, or in your paragraphs, you might want to use words like besides, moreover. Okay, so all these words, linkers, it uniforms your whole paragraph. Your writing, it has to be a flow from the start till the end. There should be a flow. All right. The time limit for this is basically you're given 45 minutes. All right, so make use of what is given. So if it is 45 minutes, all right, so 45 minutes. So make sure you spend your time reading the content, understanding what is asked for, getting your points ready, and start writing. Now, the length of writing, there is no stated that you must write within this. But however, since it's directed writing and you only are given 45 minutes, I suggest you to write between 200 to 300 words just to be on the safe side. As long as you write all your content, you're fine, because you can spend more on your continuous writing. Okay, so strategy for answering the questions. As I've mentioned, your content that is given. So you're presenting the basic points, as well as you should always think independently. So merge them together. What is given, and you should always relate it to a supporting point. All right. Next, when it comes to your language, all right, make sure your grammatical correctness is there, your structure of writing, variety of sentence types. So here you can have two sentences together by using and, but. Okay. Vocabulary. It is, if you are still, if you feel that my vocabulary is so weak that I can't think of any other big words, like for example, the restaurant served a very amazing cuisine. It was so delicious. It was so mouth-watering. You can't think of all these words. It's fine. Just stick to what you know, as long as your structure is there. All right. And you have a good planning. This is really, really important, as well as your style and your tone. As what I've heard from Mr. Francis during the seminar, broken English is fine, as you write, as long as the meaning is being presented. However, try and minimize using broken English. Try and construct your sentences as the structure. So when you write a sentence, there should always be a subject, there should always be a verb. So maintain it. All right, don't just give the verb. So if let's say I'm talking about all right, so if let's say I'm talking about I am drinking. So this is an ing here. So whenever you use an ing, always use a be verb. All right, this two goes hand in hand. This is important. So if let's say I say I drinking, yes, it is acceptable, but some examiners might mark you wrong because you forgot M. Some examiners might find I drinking is wrong and they only accept I am drinking. I am drinking means the same, but in terms of structure, it's different. All right. So steps to take, first of all, analyze the questions, note what product is asked for, examine the material provided and understand it well, what points you may need to add on. This is very important. Decide whether you need to arrange the material. So sometimes you will be given points and you might want to reorganize it. So this is where planning comes in. And lastly, think about your audience and decide on the appropriate style. So sometimes you might need to write it to the principal. You might need to write it to the town council. So you think about them and decide on what style you need to use. All right. So when you write, always use RUPOWC. So read, understand, plan, organize, write, check. Always have time to check your essay, especially for errors. Okay, so it could be a very simple error that you may want to recheck it, because when you submit, your examiners may check it and you find an error, you might lose marks just because of a very silly error. All right, so now let's go into the main topic for today. So directed writing. Directed writing is basically, you have a few types here. So you have report writing, speech, article, informal letter, as well as formal letter. So today we're going to go into report writing. So when we talk about report writing, there are different types of report writing that you do. So first you have a school or a society report. You have a report to the principal. You have a police report. You have news report as well as book report. Okay, so now this is basically a general format. What is important is you have your title, you have to, as well as you have reported by. You may need to have a date if, let's say, you are writing it to somebody, you're writing a report to somebody. So this is basically, we count marks for your format. So if you have your title is very important, to, reported by, as well as your date, you get 3 marks. Okay, so never lose this marks. All right, so you always make sure you have this. This is a general format. So in your body paragraph, you have what the first three body paragraphs, you might have facts that is relating to it. And then you may want to give a bit of recommendation. That's in your last paragraph, your concluding paragraph. All right. However, for a newspaper report, you may want to have a headline. Okay. And always have the place and a date. So as far as I see with the analysis, there is not much of newspaper report as shown. Okay, so you may want to look into newspaper report or something. All right. So, for example, this type of report here. Okay, a report to a principal. So this kind of report, since it's a formal account of an accident, so the purpose is for the principal as to carry out an investigation and take action. So the report to the principal. So you address it to the school principal. So when you write, you say to the headmistress or headmaster. All right. So always remember. Now, this is a past year question. All right. So many of your schoolmates are not interested in sports. You have carried out a survey on the reason for their lack of interest. Based on your findings, write a report to the principal regarding the matter. So what you need to write about what matter are we talking about here is you survey reasons for their lack of interest. So you need to write a report. Okay. In your report, give reasons for the lack of interest and provide suggestions to overcome the problem. So if by looking at this question, you have two things that you need to answer. One is the reasons, one is the suggestion. So this is where your content comes in. If let's say you only wrote about reasons, okay, so out of okay, let's say reasons you give maybe 5 points and suggestions you didn't give, you only get 5 out of 12 because you didn't fulfill the content part because it's both here. All right, so this is a suggested answer. Okay, so he has two. All right, he has the title. Okay, and then he has here written by. So if you look at it, he has given his reasons. So this is reasons number 1, reasons number 2. Okay, reasons number 3. This is where he started his suggestion. So suggestion 1, suggestion 2, suggestion 3, suggestion 4 with a conclusion. All right. So he has answered the question indirectly. Okay, so this is basically the content. So he had 12 content. So he had students' attitude, lack of time, emphasis, tuition classes, insufficient, poor conditions, stress, importance of sports, dialogue with parents. So this part here is the solution. This part here is the reasons. Okay. So this is a general guideline. So it's more like a format structure. All right. So what I'm going to do is after today's session, I would put it up on Facebook so you can look into all the slides and you can follow this general guidelines. If you have any question, you can write to me later on the Facebook comments. Okay. So this is basically the general guideline. All right. So I have also given some materials that I will upload later. So if you look at this material here, you have for certain parts, so ways to write. So I've got for police report. Okay. I've got for a book report. I've got report to a principal. All right. Okay. And there is a question here that you can try. All right, so this here is write a report to your principal outlining the reasons why bullying happens and give suggestions. So the reasons are here. There are 6 points as well as the suggestion. So you can try it out, okay? And if you feel that you may want to check it with me, you can put it on Facebook and I don't mind checking it for you. All right. So these are basically samples. So if you look at a book report, okay, here you don't need to write to who, you're just writing a book report. So when you write a book report, you will do the author, okay? Of course, you'll mention the author, you will mention the title, you'll mention where it has the book, the setting of the book, you will give a synopsis, you will highlight the main characters, you will highlight the subject of the novel, as well as you give your own response. So when it's asked for a book report, okay, you will need to give basically these ideas, or the notes will be something like this, because a book report is something that you have read, not something that you have not read and they will have asked you. Because if they were to ask you a book that you have not read here, so for example, as a class project, you have been asked to write a book report on the mocking, I think it's called The Mockingbird. Okay, so not many of them have heard about Harper Lee's Mockingbird story, but so it will be a very downside for people who have not heard about the story. So that's why they just say write a book report. So it could be any book that you have read. Okay, you can also make up a book. Okay, as long as you have your content, as long as you have the flow, as long as you have your title, you have a setting, you have a synopsis to it. All right, if you have main characters into it, you have a theme, and you can give your response, you are fine. All right, so this is basically a book report, and this is a report to a principal. So as I said, to, from, you have your date, you have the report title, and you write. Okay, so always in your first paragraph, you always restate the question. So you're writing, I'm writing, so you talk about your purpose. So for example, I'm writing this report is to draw your attention regarding the school canteen. So that's your purpose. Many of the students of Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Permata are unhappy about the conditions at the school canteen. So there were lots of complaints regarding this issue. All right. So when you write that, so you will, this is where your point, where starts your main your supporting points to it. Okay. In other words, this is what we call a thesis statement. So a thesis statement draws what your essay is going to be about. All right. Or more like the main idea of the entire reading passage. Entire essay, not reading passage. So this is where your points come in. Okay, so do try out this report writing. Okay, and so that is all for report writing. Okay, and I have gone through everything. So for example, to a police report, okay, and last one. So you're supposed to write, the police officer has asked you to make a report. So you have to make a police report. So it's basically what, like if you have witnessed an accident, so what is it that you have seen? So when did the event happen? Where did it take place? How it happened? Description of the vehicle, steps taken. So what did you do during that incident? All right, or what has been done? And then you give your own opinion about the report. Okay, so this is basically report writing. Next. Okay, now we go into article writing. Okay, so article writing is a very, it's a very factual writing. Okay, so what is the main purpose is in relation to giving information. You're also giving an advice. You give suggestions to the readers. All right, and it's always when you do articles, you usually write it for school magazines or school newsletters. I'm sure in all your schools, you all have school magazines, and I'm very, very sure you have writers in that particular area where they will be writing. So that is also another form of article. So if you want to get more ideas on how to write articles, do look into your school magazines and see how they have written their articles. It could be something about, maybe it could be a topic on eating healthy. You just want to write an article on it. Okay? The tone and style are formal because this is more like a factual essay. So therefore you need to have a formal tone. All right? Your introduction is very, very important. Always remember, introduction always sets the context. This is very, very crucial because if you don't have a good start, your examiners is gonna be probably, as they read, they'll be probably crying, or they'll probably be frustrated because they may not want to read it anymore. So always have a good start. Always set your context. You can give the general background, for example. So for example, eating healthy, a very famous, something that all of us are trying to do these days. But however, thanks to MCO, it was not very, very successful for some, especially for me. So for example, when you say eating healthy, these days, many people around the world are trying to stay healthy. They try all sorts of ways in trying to be healthy. Research has shown. So you try and use, trying to be like, like you've read a lot, by using the word research. Or maybe if you don't even want to say that, it's fine. You can just say, in today's world, there are so many people, trying to be healthy. However, there may be consequences to trying all sorts of solutions, all sorts of way on being healthy. So what are the consequences, or what are the effects to it? Okay, so when you use your content, use the points that is given. All right, always refer to the points. One thing for directed writing, it is helping you because there is the points there, so you don't have to really think a lot. All right, use the points given and always elaborate. You shouldn't always just write what is given. Try and elaborate here. This is where what you have been learning for, or what English knowledge that you have for the past 12 years is applied here. Okay, where you see a point, you elaborate it based on correct structure, based on language. Okay. All right, so for example, in this, before that, let me show you something else. All right. So for example, okay, so in this article here, imagine that you have visited Taman Negara and you wish to write an article for your English language newsletter. Based on the notes below, write out your article. You may add relevant information. So just imagine that you've visited Taman Negara. I mean, when we have questions like this, it's not like you don't feel frustrated, like, oh my God, I've not been to Taman Negara. How am I supposed to write? Don't worry. They give you points. So just follow the points. You don't need to be physically there to know what is Taman Negara, but you can just use these points here and try and write your article. Okay, so these are the points given. So what you can do is in your introduction, so you start arranging your points. So here it's describing the Taman Negara. Here you're talking about location. Okay, so in this too, maybe it can be in the first paragraph, your intro. Okay, and then home to species of flora and fauna. So you can give this maybe in the second paragraph, your body paragraph 1. Okay, then here you can talk about observation points of wildlife, body paragraph 2. So you can also have this as body paragraph 2 if you want. Or you can combine these two activities, since you're talking about activities for nature lovers, for the adventurers, you can have it in body paragraph 3. So you have 3 body paragraphs. And then you can have another paragraph since it's talking about ecotourism, for those of you who do not know, ecotourism is basically talking about how tourism in relation to nature. So you have tourism where you go traveling here and there. You can also have ecotourism where it's more towards nature. So you can have, maybe this one could be your suggestion, on what we can do. Since the topic had asked for to write a newsletter, and you may add relevant information. So based on the points here, okay, you might want to add some relevant information. So as what I've done here, so mention the location, where is Taman Negara, one of the oldest tropical rainforests located in the heart of Peninsular Malaysia. All right, so this is your introduction. Then you talk about paragraph 1, where you talk about the attractions. So you can talk about flora and fauna here. And then you can also talk about ideal as nature's conservation. So they study on research plans, observation points, bird sightings, animal survey and research. So like observation points in here, you can give examples like sighting of birds, or doing a survey, or doing a research. All right. Next, you can also have a paragraph on activities for nature lovers. So you can have study the flora and fauna, all right, or activities for the adventurers. So something is jungle trekking, rock climbing, rafting, camping. So these are all not given. So you can come up with your options. These are not given. What's given is activities for the adventurers, activities for nature lovers. So you need to come up with supporting. You need to come up with examples to make your essay interesting. That is very, very important. Okay. If you had been at Mr. Francis' seminar, or if you haven't seen Mr. Francis' seminar on a Saturday, you can watch it on the Facebook. He had mentioned about Cambridge people, because in your SPM English, you also have 1119. And some of your essays, certain part of your essays is being marked by Cambridge people. So when I mean Cambridge people, I mean people from the UK. So when they read your essays, some of it, they find it very, very interesting, because they write more. They give more elaboration. Okay, so they enjoy it. So do that. Okay, if you cannot even think, so if you were in a jungle, just imagine yourself being at Taman Negara. Just imagine yourself being in nature. What is it that you want to do? All right, or treat Taman Negara. If you've never been to Taman Negara and you cannot visualize what Taman Negara is, okay, if let's say you have a hiking area near your place, okay, I'm sure you're like known about Broga Hills, or even like Bukit Gasing or Bukit Tabor, all these hiking areas. So what is it that you can do? Oh, jungle trekking. Oh, maybe if I go to certain places, I can do rafting. That means going on water, or doing camping sites. You all have been on camps. Okay, so all this, activities for adventurers. All right, and then in your next paragraph, we can have ecotourism. So how it can be important for ecotourism. So when it's ecotourism, there will be foreign money, because money is coming from outside. There will be increase of job opportunities, so people have different jobs, so they need to open up. And then it also boosts countries' income. All right, so this is your 3 paragraph, and then you can give a conclusion. So you summarize basically the main points, and you can give recommendations. Maybe you can give like hotels if there are, or like maybe chalets that there's in Taman Negara. You might not, you just come up with something. Or you can also say there are many affordable tour packages. Okay, so affordable tour packages. So, and always sound convincing. All right. So that is for article writing. Now, let me go to where we were just now with the materials. Okay, so how do we mark for your formatting? Okay, so for your formats, okay, for your format. So this is an example of an essay. Okay, the essay is basically write an article for coping with stress. So what is very, very important for article writing is, first thing is you need a title. That is very important. Okay, and then you need to have by Wira Muhammad. So this is the name. So this is one, this is two. Okay, this too is very important because you're writing an article. And have it in paragraph and always have your conclusion. Okay, so format here is 3. Content, you follow what is given and you can add on, and then language is 20. All right, so in my um, materials, I have given different types of articles. So there are article, for example, it's a factual article here. So you are concerned over the implications and long-term health effects of haze. Write an article to the local newspaper expressing your concern based on all the notes below. All right, so the reason behind the haze, the role, steps, give relevant examples. Okay, health complication, measures, roles of government and individuals. So you should read carefully what is asked for. Okay, when writing the article, this is very important because this is where what you are needed in your article is that. So when writing an article, you should remember to lay out the letter carefully, or to lay out the writing carefully, because you're writing to the local newspaper. Okay, use paragraphs and use that you letter it to the press. Okay, so he started off with the title here. Okay, and then he starts writing, and then he finishes off with his name. This is very common in newspapers these days. Okay, so this is one style of writing. Another style of writing is articles for school magazines or newsletters. Okay, so in spite of government's clear call to students to study English well, many students still show very little interest in studying the language. As chairperson of the English Language Society, you're going to try to persuade the students to study the language. So as a chairperson, what you need to highlight to persuade the students to study the language by writing an article in the school newsletter. In the article, you have to tell the students the importance of studying the language. So now, the word persuade here, okay, this word persuade here means you have to be sounding persuasive. All right, so when you see words like this, you need to be sounding persuasive. So you need to convince. Another word, convince. So when someone reads your article, that means they are convinced that they should study the language. That means that they should study English. All right. So your article is given. So the points given will help you to further your studies, will help you to get a job, will help you in your job. All right. Will help you in your travels, will help you to enjoy many interesting programs, will help you to appreciate many of the world's most beautiful literary works. So when you write, and then always, always, always make sure you write. So you have to sound very, very convincing. So as I can say, it is a big concern. So you can start with a general context and then narrow it down. So here, there are many reasons why you should study the language properly. It's you are basically going to start writing on the points relation to the topic of discussion. So this is another article writing. Okay, so I've basically for today, I have gone through, all right, I have gone through 2 types of writing. So Okay, so I've gone through two types of writing in relation to directed writing. So let me just do a recap for today. So just give me 1 minute. Okay. So I've done directed writing. Okay. So directed writing, I've gone through the mark. So you have format, you have content, and you have language. Okay. So format is 3, content 12. Here is 20. Here is the most crucial one. All right. Next, for the writings that we have gone through today, is the first thing is report writing. Okay, so writing a report could be newspaper, could be a book report, could be a report to the principal. Okay, also could be a newspaper not a not newspaper, a police report. Okay, so by understanding these types of report, you need to understand, all you need to do is, first thing is to read the question. Who are you supposed to address to? So it could be to the principal, to the police, okay, to the press, or you're just writing a book report. So always have, when you read the question, that will be underline. So underline the important points. So for example, when I say underline, so if you are given a report writing to a police, so you need to write to a police officer, has asked you to make a report. So you witness an accident. So your main point is you need to write a report in relation to an accident. Okay, so read very, very carefully. And you're writing it to the police officer, not to the principal, not to your parents, not to the newspapers, but to the police officer. Okay, so you can give the police officer a name. All right. Okay, next. So that is report writing. Okay. Okay, after report writing, you have article. Now, article is very, very, very interesting because it's more towards factual. Okay, your formatting, you have your title, and you have written by. Okay, so title and written by. So that is your format, and it has to be factual. And when you do article, always look at the content. Okay, so as I said, direct writing is always your contents. Look at your content, rearrange your content. Okay, add relevant information, make it formal, and start writing. It is advisable, my advice to you is, even though you have your points, all right, even though the content is given, you, instead of straight away writing it, you can have, like, the paper, you can just jot down, adding on relevant information. So it's beneficial. All right. And then when you start writing it, you'll be able to see the points and you start writing. So you're able to plan, right? You'll be more focused. Okay. So this is for report writing as well as article writing. Do y'all have any questions? Do y'all have any question? Mr. Sabah, do you mind if there's any questions?
Yeah, I'm searching for the questions now. Most of them are actually asking, would you be posting this material on Facebook group?
Yes, I would be posting it on the Facebook group.
And there is one question. Is asking whether do we need to underline our title of the report?
Yes, you need to. So when you write your article, when you write your report, okay, so if let's say not here, if you do your week 1 notes, okay, you need to underline them. This is very, very important, underlining. Okay, always underline your title. Even for your article writing, underline them. Okay?
Okay, so far that's all, ma'am.
I think there is a question about if I never go tracking but want to answer question related to tracking. Okay, so as I mentioned, if let's say you've not been tracking before, you can create. You can imagine yourself being in a jungle, or you can imagine yourself going for tracking and like, okay, what is it that you need to do? I need this. Okay, what sort of activities you can do in a jungle? So you can do jungle hike, all right, or you can do camping. So just think about it. See, not many of us have gone tracking. Even I don't even go tracking. But when a question comes like that, you need to, you need to know your points, or you need to just imagine being in that area. Okay.
Okay. There's one more question here asking that in the article, my name below or other people's name?
Your name. It has to be your name because you are writing the article, so it has to be your name. So here by Vera Muhammad. So Vera, sorry. So if let's say here, Ahmad Harun wrote this article. Basically, you are writing the article, so you have to write the article. Now, there is a question here that says the date of the report have format or not. There is not much of a format here. You just need to follow. If let's say you just write 7th September 2011, okay? If let's say you want to write it 24 March 2011 is also fine. So you write the date as well as the month and the year. Okay?
There's one more question, ma'am, by Hafiz Aizad. Teacher, how to write the content if the question is about report to principal? The content must include the problems and the suggestions.
Okay, it depends on what the content is given. So if let's say the content is giving you problems and suggestions, then you write on that. You write your report on that, all right? And So when you write your report, when you use that content in your conclusion, you can give a such you can give like convincing. I hope you take into this consideration or the benefits of following the suggestions. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll look at the questions and I'll answer. You don't have to write bombastic words. We're not testing you on vocabulary, as far as I know, for English. So you can just use simple words that you're very, very, very comfortable. Now, the next question is, how do we know our writing style? Okay. Each of us have our own way of writing. I have my way, you have your way. The way you can identify your writing style is the more you start practicing writing. So when you start writing essays, you will know how you are writing, how your flow is. When you write an essay, don't just keep it to yourself. You can pass it to your teacher. Say, Miss, would you mind marking my essay? I want to see how well I did. So when your student, when teacher marks it for you, you will know, okay, maybe I need to improve on my sentences, or maybe I need to improve on my points. Okay, so it's a very subjective, but it all depends on how much of practice you are given. Okay, yes, you can use idioms. You can use idioms for factual, for your articles. You can use idioms on your speeches, on your talks, which we'll do later. Okay, for sentences, how many sentences are advisable to write in one paragraph? Well, obviously not one sentence, because I have seen essays where in a paragraph there's only one sentence because it's very long. But for y'all, you can just you can write between 2 to 3 sentences, you're fine. Okay? Or if you want to be more adventurous, you can write 2 to 4 sentences. You okay, if now this question here, do we reduce mark if we answer wrong? Okay, it depends on the question. If let's say the content is given and you don't follow the content and you write something else, of course your content marks will go away. It's not about whether answering right or wrong, it's more of how you have displayed or elaborated on your points. Okay? This one about adding a signature, as long as your name is that, it is fine. But if you want to add a signature, it will give a more just add on to your writing. Okay? And how about quotes used in the essay? Will it be more interesting for our essay when we write it? Okay, you can use quotes, but you see, you're writing a directed writing, so it's more of what is given. You can use quotes in your continuous writings. For continuous writings, um, I will go through them later. There is like a do's and don'ts for continuous writing. I will explain it later on because I want to focus on directed writing here, and I'll focus on it later. Yes, I'll definitely post it. I can give you all a list of sentences that are for formal writing and informal writing. Sorry, I forgot to publish the questions, but here is the questions that have been published. Another question here is how to improve our writing skills. The only way to improve on your writing skills is by doing a lot of practice. Okay? Okay, so have I answered all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So that is all for today. So I've done 2 types of writing. Next week I'll do reading and then I'll continue back on writing. Okay, so if you all have time, try out the report writing. If you all have any questions, you all can chat with me, comment with me via Facebook. Okay, So I will see y'all next week, and I'll pass the floor to Sabah, Mr. Sabah.
All right, ma'am. Thank you, Ms Ayeswary. I will share a video now. Just bear with me a moment, yeah, guys.
Hi, it's me, Catwoman. You know me. If you don't, Google me. I used to be indecisive on what to study after high school. Well, I'm here to help you understand the flexibility of the American Degree Transfer Program at Help University. And no, the American Degree Transfer Program does not mean that you have to study in America. You can study in Australia, the UK, Canada, or any country at all that accepts American education. How cool is that? Wait, maybe not going overseas and you want to study locally? That's totally okay. You could even transfer to Help University's local degree program. I was in your shoes, undecided. The American Degree Transfer Program gives you
they're paying is 3 times the rent that. Hello, my name is Mardiana and I'm a Help ADP alumni. I transferred to the United States in fall of 2018 and today I'm going to be answering some questions from Help University. So let's dive right into it. So I transferred to the University of Central Oklahoma, which is in the state of Oklahoma, and my major is professional media. The next question is, the city I'm living in is called the city of Edmond. It's a small city. It's definitely not as busy, as lively, as chaotic as it is in KL. And me being a KL kid my whole life, it definitely took me some time to adapt to like a quieter, less chaotic lifestyle. But once I got past that, it's actually a really nice place to live. And the people are just so friendly. Everyone I've met in Edmond has just been nothing but kind and nice to me. I've always gotten help when I've needed any kind of help. And I've also never gotten any kind of racial discrimination. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that. The cost of living in Edmond is not as high as it would be in other states, just because Oklahoma in general isn't that expensive to live in. So, for example, some of my friends who are living in California or in New York, I know for a fact that the rent they're paying is 3 times the rent that I pay. So, and the space that I get is pretty decent, so I'm not complaining. So I'm not going to speak for the whole university, but I do love the department that I'm in, which is the professional media department in mass communication. So all of my professors have been really nice and really knowledgeable because all of them have been in their respective industries for years and years. And I have professors who are professional reporters. One of them is actually a professional reporter in Washington, D.C. And like media consultants, filmmakers, video producers, even like writers. So just they all have a lot of knowledge in what they do, and that really helps me. Also, I like that the class sizes aren't that big. In my university, I've never been in like a huge lecture hall with 300 people where you don't know what's going on. All of my classes have been just quite like nice and intimate, about 15 to 20 people, 25 max. So whenever I've needed any kind of help, I could just go straight to my professor or talk to them in their office and just have a chat. So that's really nice. And I've also gotten to try many different things in my university, like film production, documentary filmmaking, broadcast news. I was a reporter, I did a podcast, like I've done a bit of everything. So I definitely learned what I like and what I don't like, and I'm thankful that I got those opportunities at my university. Honestly, I would say no, but I don't think there's any easy way to manage your expectations before transfer, because adapting to a whole new country in itself is not easy. So everyone's adapting process is different, of course, but it's just something that everyone has to go through. There's no easy way to know what to expect, because you'll know when you get there. So there's no easy way around it, in my opinion. It's just something that everyone has to do. My experience was really good, actually. It was actually amazing. I wouldn't change anything. If I go back to 2017 right now, I wouldn't change anything about my ADP experience, because some of the people I've met from day one, they're still some of my closest and best friends until today. So I'm really grateful that I met those people at ADP. And all the professors, lecturers, advisors, staff, just everyone at ADP is amazing. Shout out to them. Shout out to Miss 90. You guys are awesome. And thanks for making my transfer process so smooth and easy. So I would definitely recommend Help ADP, because I had a wonderful experience. And if you know for a fact that you want to transfer to the US, UK, Canada, or Australia, and I have friends who are studying in all of those countries who transferred from ADP, I think Help ADP is a great place to help you to get there, because you'll be able to fulfill the requirements that you need, and it's a great stepping stone for you to just transfer to wherever you want in the world with those set of requirements. So with that, I would recommend ADP, and I think it's a great place if you want to transfer to another country. And that's all I have. That's all the questions. Thank you for watching this video. And yeah, that's all. Bye.
Okay, so that's all for our video. And is there any questions on the floor before I end the session?
Sabah, can you announce about the SASA as well as what is on for tomorrow night?
Yes, sir. That is in my ending. Okay, since you don't have any more questions, I would like to say thank you so much, Ms Ayeswary, for your time and effort. So we have a clearer thought and a clearer view on how to answer and write an article in English for our SPM. And we will see you again next week, hopefully. And all right, so before I end the session, I have a few announcements to make. The School Achievers Scholarship Award, which is also known as SASA Award, is now available here in Help University. Please we highly do encourage all Form 5 leavers to submit your application through our website. And we would have more SPM revision seminar this whole week, right? And we have just finished English for today, and tomorrow would be additional mathematics, same time, 8 to 9 p.m. right? So whoever are interested, please do join us for our tomorrow session at 8 to 9 p.m. again. And for more information, please log on to our webpage to find out for more. And if there are any questions of any inquiries regarding courses or help university itself, please do feel free to contact our counselors or just drop us an email. Right? So with that said, have a good night, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Bye.